Welcome to the Holly Hub. Here's our 2 cents on current events.
Welcome back to the Holly Hub. I'm your host, Elijah Bibby.
And I'm co-host Daniel Norman.
And this is The Beat. Starting off, we're going to be talking about the Indonesia plane crash. Rescuers are searching the waters near Jakarta, Indonesia, after a passenger plane carrying 189 people crashed into the sea 13 minutes after takeoff.
Lion Air Flight JT610 was on a short flight from Jakarta to Pangkal Pinang when it disappeared from radar. The plane's fuselage hasn't been located, but debris, including life vests and a cell phone and an oil stick, has been found in the Java Sea about 30 miles northeast of Jakarta.
The flight recorder shows that 4 of the aircraft's flights had experienced issues with the airspeed indicator. The box was recovered after flight JT610 slammed into the ocean off the coast of Indonesia, leaving no survivors. Passengers on board included 20 officials from Indonesia's finance ministry who were returning from a holiday vacation with their families, as well as a child and 2 infants.
Officials say Lion Air had airspeed problems on its final 4 flights before plunging into the ocean. Lion Air was a brand new Boeing 757 that had performed only 19 flights, including its last.
Wow, that's an uneventful thing to happen. Alright, what's our next subject, Dan?
Midterm elections. We have reached the final days of a midterm election cycle. Unlike any other, President Trump is burning up the campaign trail, with 5 rallies in 2 days where he is talking in apocalyptic terms about immigration.
The Democrats, led by big rallies with former President Obama, hope the unprecedented level of early voting this cycle means they have enough people among their supporters that they can retake the House and grab back some power in Washington.
The stakes couldn't be higher. Voters will either choose the constrained Trump and his unconventional presidency over concerns of his behavior in many scandals, or they will reward him for overseeing a historical red-hot economy and keeping his election promises, however controversial. Keep up with the latest election updates here.
Next, we have the Iran sanctions. The Trump administration is set to reimpose all sanctions against Iran today. The sanctions were lifted as part of the 2015 Iran nuclear agreement, which President Trump pulled the U.S. out of earlier this year.
Iran's energy and banking sectors will be hit hard, although it should be noted that Iran is still exporting oil as the sanctions kick in. Demonstrators took to the streets of Tehran to protest. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Iran must act like a normal country or see its economy fall.
U.S. President Donald Trump withdrew the U.S. from the nuclear accord earlier this year, an agreement he called the worst deal ever negotiated.
President Trump says he wants to get Iran back to the negotiating table.
Mike told a press conference on Monday that more than 20 nations have already cut their oil intake from the Islamic Republic, and that exports have fallen by 1 million barrels a day. European countries, which are still party to the accord designed to curb Iran's nuclear activity, say that they will help businesses bypass the sanctions. But there are doubts about how successful this will be.
Even before the U.S. sanctions were reimposed, Iran's economy had a difficult year, with Iran's currency plummeting against the dollar, driving up the price of basic goods. Up next, we have Brexit. Brexit is a word that is used as a shorthand way of saying the UK leaving the EU, merging the words Britain and exit to get back Brexit, and the same way as a possible Greek exit from the euro was dubbed Grexit in the past.
It's what at least 60 UK businesses leaders are pushing for, as fears grow that the country will leave the EU in March without a deal. The business leaders published a letter in a newspaper calling for people's vote on Brexit.
They want this because the proposals the UK and the EU are hashing out right now are not as good as the current deal we have inside the EU, the business leaders said. They also said the uncertainty over Brexit has caused a slump in investment.
Up next, we have corporal punishments. American pediatricians are doubling down on their oppositions to spanking. In a new policy statement coming out today from the American Academy of Pediatrics, the group says adults caring for children should use healthy forms of discipline.
They say we should use things like positive reinforcement and not spanking, hitting, threatening, or shaming. The new statement, which updates a policy the group put out 20 years ago, describes how several studies have found associations between spanking and aggressive child behavior as well as adolescent depression.
Up next, we have House and Senate races. As expected, the Democrats won control of the House of Representatives. CNN projects the Dems will gain as many as 35 seats in the chamber. It's a huge victory for the party, which was shut out of power after President Trump's big win 2 years ago.
Now it's an even bigger setback for the president, who will no doubt have to contend with a dizzying array of investigations brought by the newly empowered Democrats. Republican Chris Collins won the Congress election with 49.5% of the vote, and Nate Murray lost with 48.4% of the vote.
That's really close, Danny.
It really is.
Well, no, it's not a close vote. Well, the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, won with 59%, while Mark Molinaro only had 36.8%. It's really unfortunate for Mark, but New York really tends to vote Democratic, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in to the Holly Hub. I'm your host, Elijah Bibby.
And I'm your co-host, Daniel Norman.
And this is The Beat.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Hi, I'm Jake Peters.
And I'm Jordan Grind.
And
welcome to Grinds My Gears.
Okay, in today's podcast, we'll start with just people in general who are imbeciles that drive too close behind you. So, like, I'm still a new driver, and just people who ride my frickin' tail are annoying. Jordan, have you ever drove before?
No, I only took driver's ed, you know. I mean, I've never drove a car before. But yeah, I have, and people have definitely tailgated me, you know, very late in the night too. I remember going to get a pizza.
Really?
Some dude was tailgating me. He was like a foot away from my bumper.
Yeah, I know. It's very stressful and annoying, especially for new drivers. Next, we're gonna talk about Spectrum's reliable internet. Reliable
quote.
Yeah, it's just crappy service all around, and they're the only provider here, which it just really does grind my gears when I'm playing a game and just internet just crashes. Nothing you can do about it either.
Or unless you can do something, but like the Wi-Fi isn't reliable. But if you have like a wired connection, it is. Yeah, it's decent. Mm-hmm. For me, I'd never had a problem other than when I was using Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
I would have a problem.
But just downloading stuff is just toxic, especially on Wi-Fi. So next we're on to people who like telemarketers in general. If you call me asking for money, I am broke, man. I have nothing to give you. I don't know, and it's just spam calls all the time, and especially lately, it's just been all over the place.
Last year, I had a guy from Thailand call me at 3:30 in the morning, and it was on a weekend, luckily, because if it was on a school night, I would have been
yeah.
But yeah, he called like 5 times in a row, I think. And I picked up, and I was just like screaming at him. I was so mad.
Yeah, man. Well, like, I'm broke, don't call me. And then you feel bad when you're like, don't call me again, you know, it's just being toxic. This has been Grind My Gears with Jake Peters
and Jordan Grind. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to The Wings with the Left and Right Me. Our topic for today is Trump's rhetoric to blame for the recent bomb threats? We're going to start off with the right.
Absolutely not, because you cannot simply blame somebody for being in the same political party that the person supports and sending bombs to prominent Democrats that didn't even go off.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I don't think Trump's rhetoric is to blame for the bombs.
Would the left like to rebuttal?
Well, I believe Trump as an individual isn't to blame. It's his rhetoric is to blame. It's different than me and you because he's in a significant position of power, and the stuff he says can influence some easily minded people, and especially what he says on Twitter and in his speeches can significantly impact what people do and say.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you guys, a question. So you guys, watch the news and stuff, obviously, right? Well, and I assume you've seen his Twitter and things like that. So it's not unjust to say that he has made some insensitive and maybe uneducated statements. Yes, no?
Has he ever blatantly stated, I would like the people of America to plant bombs in mail and send them to prominent Democrats?
No. I'm not saying that he is directly responsible, but I do think that he has an influence on this sort of thing.
Well, an influence, maybe. He definitely does say some outlandish things, but we all know that's because his movement kind of feeds off that. But I still don't think that even if he has a little bit of influence, that him or any of his words can directly be blamed for what happened or what could have happened with the bombs.
Well, he's made threats and he's slandered other Democrats, people from other parties, or even just others from I can't remember what I was gonna say. This is what I'm trying to get at. When I think of the president, I think of someone who represents America. He's supposed to be a representative that embodies the values of our nation, to uphold the beliefs that our founding fathers put into place. He's in a position of power. A president should be a leader that sets an example. That kisses babies and stuff. Mm-hmm. But no offense, I probably wouldn't want Trump kissing my baby.
He insults several individuals. Right here is a quote from him: "My plan will lower taxes for our country, not raise them." Phony at Club for Growth says, "I will raise taxes." Just another lie. But he provided no evidence of how they're lying. And that's kind of basically claiming they're saying something.
Well, it's not even just saying maybe mean things to other people. I'm more specifically aiming at the threats. In this one quote, he threatens the Iranian president. He says, "Never ever threaten the United States again, or you'll suffer the consequences."
He's simply protecting his country and his people, considering that Syria and Iran are literally attacking their own people and getting away with it. And when the U.S. intervenes, that's when there's a problem for everybody.
But couldn't he do it in a more professional manner rather than saying on a Twitter page that don't come after us?
It's honestly
it's honestly funny that he's doing that instead, because if you've seen previous presidents. I had the floor first, okay?
I was already starting my statement. Honestly, there's no doubt that it is simply for publicity, but he's also trying to make it known that he's not afraid to use military force and political force to help the people of foreign countries.
Right, like you said, you wanted somebody who kisses babies and stuff, a strong leader, a textbook leader. And I think something a leader should be able to do is defend their own country. If Twitter is a unprofessional way of doing it, I guess we could agree on that, but
yeah,
he's just defending his country at the end of the day.
Maybe he just needs a better means of doing so.
And I would agree with that. I honestly do not agree on the way that Trump puts certain things out there and the way that he expresses himself. A lot of the things he does is very unprofessional, and there's some policies that I highly disagree with.
Well, some people argue that as a citizen, you have the right to freedom of speech, so he can say whatever you want.
Exactly.
But when you speak for all of America, you have to think about the words that you use and the statements that you make. But most importantly, you have to think about the image that you portray.
I mean, wouldn't he necessarily be representing the people of America, since that's the whole point of the presidency?
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying. But is he really representing us in the best way?
By producing these comments he says on Twitter or in his speeches, or you see some of the ridiculous things he says, are those what the American people feel, or is that what he feels personally?
I mean, arguably, wouldn't his main concern be the people of the right, conservative Republicans, considering he is a Republican and holds a lot of conservative and right views?
But isn't he supposed to represent the whole entire population in general, rather than just the right?
Yeah, I think maybe he doesn't represent all of the people.
As an individual, like personally, he can't be held accountable. But as a leader, he's failed to create unity. Instead, he's encouraging division, and I don't think that's right.
Arguably, wouldn't that be what the government has been trying to do for a long time and period, to divide their people and create confusion so they can distract their people from seeing that the government is becoming corrupt?
Well, that's a really deep conspiracy.
Like,
That's a conspiracy. That's not fact.
He's never called for the killing of anybody. So back the bombs, I don't think you can put any blame.
Yeah.
Like maybe influence, but he has never called for violence against anybody.
Yeah.
That like maybe insults at most to Democrats.
There's just simply a lot of people that are on the right that and on the left that have radical views, no matter if...
Yeah.
And that's not really to blame on the president, but more on the people that have let themselves slip way too far and get way into politics.
I mean, honestly, some of his roasts are pretty good, so I give him credit.
Yeah.
All right, folks, that was our episode for today. Thank you for joining us on The Wings. Welcome to Tea Time with Greg. Sit back and soak it all in. All right, hello. Today we have Mr. Heise and Janne on the show, who you already know from her experiences in America on her other skit. And today we're interviewing Mr. Heise about his experiences in Rotary Club and his interactions with the people of Holly. To start us off, in a nutshell, Mr. Heise, what is the purpose of the Rotary Club?
The motto for Rotary is service above self. So it's really a service organization of men and women that are interested in providing support throughout the community. And the community can be local or international. And on an international level, the big effort for Rotary is to eradicate polio. 20 years ago, when we started this program to eradicate polio, 1,000 children a day got polio.
Wow.
So that's 350,000 on the average a year. Now we're down to just 25 in Afghanistan and Pakistan along the border, where the Taliban is active. So that's an international goal of ours. But the real goal of Rotary is peace, by making sure that children are educated, that mothers and children are fed, and there's sanitation, clean water, etc. The Holly Rotary Club does a lot with the local students, as you probably know. We give scholarships, we sponsor an exchange student in and out, we send kids to a leadership camp, and a whole plethora of different things.
Right. Okay, so you kind of already answered our second question. How many members does the Holly chapter have?
Holly right now is 14. We're struggling with membership. When I joined 30 years ago, we were 35. And we've crept down as businesses in the area have moved out. We've lost a few members, but we're 14 very active and strong members.
Okay. How many years have you yourself been working within Rotary?
30 years. And I've done a variety of things in the local club. I've been president 3 times. I was at the district level, and our district for Rotary includes Western New York and Southern Ontario. Okay. I've done service projects. I've done youth services director. I've been youth exchange director also, and I was district governor, which meant that I was responsible for 70 clubs and 2,400 Rotarians.
Wow, that's a lot. So you've been working very active in the community and within Rotary for 30 years, you said. That's a long time. It's very impressive. What would you say your favorite part of being involved in Rotary is?
I think it's working with the students. Our club is very committed to the youth of the community, and because of that, I get to work with a variety of students and helping them along as they look forward to their careers and moving out into the real world. And I enjoy that immensely, and that's why I've still maintained membership. And one of my favorite things is the youth exchange program. It's probably my favorite in the Rotary world, and so that keeps me involved in the local club.
Yeah. I know over the past few years in Holly especially, we've had quite a few exchange students, and this year one of which was Janne. Great pleasure to have her in our classes. She's a lot of fun. So tell us a little more about the foreign exchange program, like how it works and what the real goal of that is.
Well, the real goal is to break down misunderstandings between peoples. We have a saying in Rotary that if you eat dinner with somebody, it's very hard to go to war against them. And so that's the whole purpose of the Rotary Youth Exchange Program, is to show people that the world really isn't that different. And I don't know, Janne can speak to this later, but I've noticed from the exchange students that their families are very similar to our families. Some differences because of cultures, but there's a lot of similarities. And that's probably the main purpose of the program. Janne, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think you're doing very well with that, because you have so many opportunities to meet new people. I mean, not just my exchange family, my host family, it's also the people we're going with to dinner with. And yeah, I learned about so many different opinions, and it's very great and interesting, because I also not only meet people from here, from America, because when I met with other exchange students, I meet people from the whole world. So it's like, it's very good for peace and everything, because you know almost persons from every country, and that's very nice.
What she's talking about is our district sponsors 24 exchange students. We have 24 students out, 24 in, and 4 or 5 times during the year, Janne will get together with all the exchange students. So she'll meet students from not only Germany, there's a couple from there, but from Spain and France and Japan and South America, Paraguay, and wherever we're exchanging with. And so that's a way of breaking it down. My own family has hosted 12 exchange students over the years as a host family. And this summer, Mrs. Zalent, you'll have to talk to her sometime, went to Japan for a week on her way to Malaysia to visit with our son who lives there. And she met our former exchange student from Japan in Tokyo and got to meet her family and her young son. And so that kind of experience breaks down the barriers and establishes friendships.
So Janne, what has your favorite part been about being a part of this exchange program?
With Rotary?
Yes.
Yeah. It's hard to find a favorite part, because you have, I think one big part is just, first of all, that it's amazing that all of these members don't get any money for that. They just do it from the heart, and they take so good care of me. I can do so many things here, and especially John. He's doing very many things with me, very much. And then, yeah, to meet people from other countries, like we said before, all the other exchange students. Then I have the opportunity to make a big trip on the end of the year where I can see the whole country. So it's not like I'm just seeing Holly. I really get this impression of this whole country, and yeah, that I can imagine that I be still in contact with them kind of for my whole life, because this big connection is there, because they do it so well.
Another little difference between Rotary and other exchange programs is there's no administrative fee for Rotary. Some of the exchange students from other programs pay from $10,000 to $15,000 in order to participate. As Janne said, some of that money goes towards administrative fees and people that are hired to do things. In Rotary, it's all volunteer. And not only that, all we have the student do is to pay for the airfare and insurance while they're here. And even if they can't afford that, Rotary has a scholarship that will help students pay for that expense. So right now, we're looking to sponsor somebody, the Holiday Rotary Club, to go out next year someplace, and we have to have that application in another month. The other thing that's different with Rotary is they live with multiple families. Not just one family, but it's 2 or 3 families. And part of that is to, again, every family is a unique kind of entity. And so it gives the student a feeling for what different families are like in the host country. And then while Janne is here and while our exchange students are here, they also get an allowance from the Rotary Club of $100 a month for spending money. And so that's the difference, I think, between Rotary and other programs that makes it unique. And she has a support system here. She has me, which she probably loves, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. But she also has a counselor if she's having trouble with me or some other things in the organization. She also has a chairman that's in Buffalo she can contact. So there's a lot of support there for her if she needs it.
Yeah. So very, very wide-reaching program, very supportive program, a lot of opportunities. If there was one thing that you'd like the community members to know about Rotary or about the foreign exchange program, what would that one thing be?
Well, I think the misperception about Rotary is that it's a bunch of old rich guys. And I don't know what your perceptions are, but that's what we hear frequently. In our club, Jessica Manigault just joined. She's 19 and not a great wealth, but she's in there and she's active in the club. We're looking for people that want to help out in the community, want to do things. That's why we formed the Interact Club here, because we wanted to get students into that mode of volunteering, helping out, and doing things. So you don't have to be old, you don't have to be rich, but you have to be interested in serving and doing things in the community, especially with our club, because our club, 99% of what they do is in the community. Other clubs, they may be involved in digging a well in Argentina, let's say in a poor village, or in Africa someplace. But we tend to shy away from that because we have such needs we feel in our community. We want to concentrate here.
Okay. Janne, is there anything you'd like people to know personally?
I think I go with Mr. Heise because here I realized that I really want to join Rotary out of the exchange too, because there's so many good things they're doing in the world, and yeah, that's just amazing. And I really can say, if you want to help, that's kind of something Rotary stands for me. It's like, if you want to help, if you want to do something good in the world, you can definitely join this program. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to thank you both for being on the show today. Mr. Heise, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come in. And Janne, thank you again for being here. All right. So now we're going to move on to the tea review. Today we're drinking peppermint tea. I have had this before, but it might be slightly different than the first time I had it. It's very earthy tea, as you could probably expect. Very strong flavor. Not as strong as the first time I've had it, though. But very earthy tea and a little overpowering. Kind of like eating toothpaste. But if you like that sort of thing, you might want to try it. All right. Thank you for being on the show. Happy Halloween. Goodbye.
This is the United States of Janne with our very own exchange student, Janne Grasshoff. What do you have for us today, Janne?
Yeah, the topic today is like that you like to have things very huge or big. So, I mean, you have a huge country, obviously. So, but I just have a few examples kind of in school. I mean, you spend a lot of time in school, so it's a big thing. But the sports in school are very huge or very important here. I never had that back in Germany, like things like preseason that I have to make sports in vacations or like every day. So that's a big and important thing here. And then in school, one other big thing is the prom. For me, it just sounds like a dance, but obviously some people like to spend very much money. And so when I saw a few videos, it was like they would ask if they want to marry them, or that the guy would ask if she wants to marry him. And I mean, it's just prom, but it's very big, so enjoy it. And then, things like the supermarkets. I don't know if you know Aldi, but that's maybe compared Germany to the United States, it's like Walmart and Wegmans compared to Aldi. And then the food, and they have candy bags, like they're so big like my pillow at home. So yeah, that's a really interesting thing too. Yeah, and now in Germany, in German. Also ihr habt ein sehr, sehr großes Land, von daher ist es normal, dass ihr große Dinge dort habt jetzt hier. Aber so in der Schule sind mir ein paar Sachen aufgefallen. Also ihr habt natürlich viel Zeit, die ihr in der Schule verbringt, weil ihr die ganze Zeit Schule habt. Aber das Sport ist ein sehr, sehr großes Thema hier. Musste ich irgendwie nie in den Ferien machen. Und sonst Prom. Also, dass ihr für einen Tanz dann sehr viel Geld ausgibt und dass das ist, als würde man miteinander heiraten. Und dann Supermarkt, Aldi und Wegmans und dann, Süßigkeiten habt ihr unfassbar viel und riesig, so groß wie mein Kissen. Ja.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Janne. Hi, welcome to Youthful Yackings with Indigo and Ericka. Hi, so today we'll be talking about the school dress codes.
So school dress codes, every school has one and each one is different. Some more strict and some more lenient. So back in history, it used to be known that someone's social class or ranking was known by how they dressed, and it was also used to identify someone's gender.
But today, having to tell someone what they can wear and restrict their clothing, people would just not agree with it because there's so many new forms of self-expression that people are welcome to. But many schools all around the country have different dress codes for their areas and for their climate, and then also even for their proms, which prom is the one night that a girl should be able to pick the perfect dress, and being cut down to only certain options would just probably not be the best for anyone in that circumstance.
Well, yeah, because I think one day we were talking about how BuzzFeed made a video about prom dresses, and it limits people on what they can wear to prom. It's crazy.
Yeah. Even budget-wise, it would limit them. It's not good.
So today we're going to talk about some crazy dress codes around the U.S. So the first one is no holes in jeans, and if you have holes in your jeans, you will have to duct tape them closed.
Wow, and that's from West Virginia. So another crazy one is no cornrows except in February during Black History Month, and that's in LA, which that to me is really shocking because that should be able to be expressed during any time of the year. They're right.
I can't imagine if I wonder if they got backlash from that, you know what I mean?
They probably definitely did, because that's not right.
Because if I went to that school, I'd want people to know what I was going through.
Yeah.
The next one is no shorts on certain dates, September 15th through May 15th, and that's in Pennsylvania. I know in September it's usually still pretty hot. I think it started getting cold at the beginning of October, right? Something like that. So if I couldn't wear shorts during September, I'd be really mad.
Yeah, that's not cool. So another pretty crazy one is in Kentucky. You can't have your shoes be mismatched. So just make sure you wear the same pair of shoes to school. In Illinois, sweatshirts are fine, but not hoodies unless you're a monk.
That was
so ridiculous.
That one's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met a monk, so
they wouldn't be in Illinois too.
I don't even get what's the difference between sweatshirts and hoodies.
I think what you is there a hood on yours? No. What you have on, just the collar and the zipper is just a sweatshirt, but then the hoodie actually obviously there's a hood on it.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I would just tell them I'm a monk.
Oh God.
One school said no red and black together because counselors found that it was way too sexy for you to wear black and red.
As a female?
just a female, or that male too?
No, I think it's for everyone.
Oh, goodness. In Texas, you can't wear grills. And you can also not have any shoes that have more than 2 toes showing.
So, no heels that aren't really covered.
Aren't fully enclosed.
Yeah.
Or flip-flops.
And then for one of them, I remember it said that you could not wear a shirt that showed hatred towards your president. Which, I mean, it's like, I get that because it's our president, but it's like, you're expressing yourself through your clothes.
Yeah, it's like if they can wear stuff to go show that they're with them, why can't you show your stance? Because
But at the same school, you also can't wear head scarves or hijabs, and you can't wear face paint, which is really crazy. I mean, the face paint I understand, but like, you can't wear a hijab, like, really.
Yeah, that's their religion. They can't tell them they can't wear that. Like, that's honestly insane.
Honestly. I mean, like, I feel like if you told someone that they had to change what they were wearing or something, you'd get a lot of, like, backlash. Definitely. Especially if they posted on social media on something.
Yeah, so it's like, how many is it that's actually, reinforced? Because that would just be horrible for the school.
Yeah. I've definitely seen a lot of, like, social media being used. I remember one girl took a video on Snapchat of everyone at her school who wore duct tape around for the holes. And the boys, like, had a hole in it, and it was, like, the smallest hole, but they never told them to cover it up or anything.
It's just, I feel like boys and girls are on such a different level of dress coding. Like, I feel like if you were to ask a school how many girls have dress code and they raise their hand, it's going to be, like, probably half the school to, like, 2 guys.
Yeah.
It's just held to different standards that aren't right. Like, they can sit there and muscle tease, but can't have our shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right, thanks for listening to our section of the podcast today.
We're Youthful Yackings with Indigo and Ericka. Bye.
This has been our 2 cents on current events. Thanks for listening.